Hi, I'm Aaliyah Woods, co-founder and farm manager for Commonwealth Urban Farms. This is our Beginning Gardener video series designed to help you have a successful garden even if you've never planted a seed in your life. Today we're going to plant yard-long beans, but first let's check on what we've planted previously. So, last week we planted hyacinth beans, which is an ornamental vine. Has this really pretty purple-red veining and stems, and it'll have beautiful blossoms on it and seed pods. Before that we planted an Armenian cucumber. So these are coming along nicely. They're going to grow up this trellis that we made out of a cattle panel. Before that we planted a tomato in this smart pot. So we've got this cage around the tomato now. That's the method that we're using for trellising for the tomato. There's lots of other methods that are good too. Every week or maybe twice a week we're going to want to just nudge this tomato back inside the cage. It's going to keep sending its arms out and they will go through the holes in the cage. We want it pretty much contained within the cage and not having the arms come out and then sprawling on the ground, etc. So do that maybe twice a week and it's easy to do. Once the arms get long, it's a lot harder to tuck them back into the cage without breaking them. And down here you can see we've got a few little radishes coming along and some cilantro that's got pretty little leaves on it now. That looks great. We could start harvesting that very soon. In this smart pot we've got our 2 pepper plants, giant red Marconi, sweet pepper, and a shishito. And then 2 head lettuces that are growing very beautifully. Over here the arugula that we harvested last week, and you can see even though it's only been a week since we harvested, new leaves are already coming out. And then we've got some more radishes that are ready to harvest. Let's go ahead and pull them out right now. There's one right there and another couple over here. So we'll add those to supper tonight. Oops, didn't mean to pull that one. This one right here. The Swiss chard is looking very nice. This is our rainbow Swiss chard. You can see we've got yellow, red, orange stalks on it. Here's one of our little baby turnips. There it is right there with a ladybug next to it. And then in this bed we have our original planting of lettuce. So we harvested that last week and you can see there's already new leaves forming. Here there's a little new leaf coming out right here at the base. So we'll give it a couple weeks, a week or two, and then we can harvest another round of lettuce and some more of our onions. I think I'll pull this one out. So this is starting to bulb up. We can chop that up for supper tonight too. All right, now let's plant yard-long beans. Yard-long beans. What are yard-long beans? So yard-long beans are a very heat-tolerant bean that grows well for us here in Oklahoma in our hot, dry summers. Green beans, which I love, are not so heat-tolerant. They tend to stop producing in the middle of Oklahoma summers. Yard-long beans are more closely related to cowpeas than to green beans, which is part of the explanation for why they do so well for us in the summertime. We grow a variety called red noodle, which is a purple, kind of reddish purple yard-long bean, really pretty. Yard-long beans are one of those vegetables that just pretty much works no matter what, which I love. So they're a vining bean. They're going to grow up a trellis that we're going to erect here on the front of the porch. So it'll be basically a shade cloth for the porch all summer long. Also edible, also very pretty. They have lovely kind of magenta pink blossoms on them. The foliage stays deep, bright green, dark green all summer long. So they're really attractive, even in August when everything else is suffering from the heat. We're going to plant them in a row right along the front porch. So this front porch faces west. The yard-long beans will be in the shade in the morning, but they'll get a lot of sun from noon on through the rest of the day. We've had a ton of rain lately, and so our soils, which are heavy red clay right here, are really saturated. This is not a good time to be digging in the soil. If you take a handful of soil and clump it up like that, it forms a ball, but then it doesn't break apart when you try to put your thumb into it. That means it's too wet to dig safely. What tends to happen with heavy clay soils is that if you dig it and form these little briquettes, that once it dries, they stay briquettes. They don't just crumble back. So we're not going to work the soil today. What we're going to do instead is just plant the beans on top of the soil, cover them with a thick layer of compost, and call it good. So we're going to plant these yard-long beans about every 3 inches. I'm just going to plunk them down right there on top of the soil, just like that. Beans in general have good germination rates and are not quite so picky as some other crops. All right, now I'm going to come back with some compost and apply it liberally on top. Any extra nitrogen that we can give the beans will make them grow even more productively. So I'm putting a very thick layer of compost on top. You'll remember that we said before the proper depth for planting most seeds is twice the thickness of the seed. So bean seeds are bigger seeds, so we can plant them more deeply. All right. Now today I am not going to water them in because we have yet another rainstorm predicted for tonight and tomorrow, so I think that will take care of it. If by chance we get no rain in the next day or two, I'll come back and water them later. So that's it for planting the yard-long beans today. Next week we'll work on putting up the trellis for them to grow up, and maybe they'll be sprouted by then. Also next week we're going to plant okra. Thanks for watching and happy gardening.